Kyle Meredith, weekly feed with the one and only legendary Tom Jones. Thank you so much for joining us today.
That's all right.
This is great. You're having a busy year.
Yeah.
In fact, it sounds like you're probably having a busy life altogether.
A busy life. Yeah. Since 1965.
Yeah, that's not bad. And still going here in 2013. It almost feels like through the years, though, it's like every decade, speaking of 65, on and on and on, it's like an audio reboot in your career. You've tried so many different sounds.
That's right.
And here we are back. Spirit in the Room is kind of the second in this.
Second, yeah. We did one called Praise and Blame a couple of years ago, and that worked well. And I loved recording that way.
Right.
Just live in the studio, moving stuff around when you need to. Nothing set in concrete. And so we thought, well, that one worked great, so let's do another one.
Sure. And I get the feeling like maybe this side of things started with Ethan Johns,
Ethan Johns. Yeah. Because a few years ago, I didn't know what direction to take. Mm-hmm. So I talked to a lot of different producers, what ideas they had, and Ethan was the one that made the most sense. Yeah. He said, "Why don't we do something that you haven't done before? You know what I mean? Let's not sort of try and chase what's being played."
It's not like this is the first time you've ever done a sound like this, but at the same time, it's not what people know you for.
No.
Yeah. And was there any hesitation, like, this is going to be a new me? Once again, this is going to be a new me.
No, I didn't think of it like that, really, because, it's singing, so there was nothing different in you still got to stand in front of a microphone.
Sure.
You've got musicians with you, and you sing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the music is of a different nature. That's the difference, and it's not as like when I was recording Delilah, and it's not unusual, and What's New Pussycat, and they were sort of forceful songs.
Sure.
So there was a lot of forcefulness going in there, and big arrangements. Yeah. And but this isn't. This is more intimate. There are a few on there that that push, like Bad As Me, the Tom Waits song. That's pretty.
Which was one of the biggest surprises. I mean, you got to feel those lyrics. I feel to pull those lyrics off. You got to feel those lyrics.
Exactly. Well, the album is a meaningful album, and all the songs mean a lot to me because I can get inside them and make them my own.
But most people wouldn't have tackled that one. They would have went for one of the ballads. They would have went something easy. I mean, Tom has that growl and force in some of those songs.
And there's some great stuff on that last album that he did. That I liked quite a lot of it. So but I thought, let's go for the biggie, and and have some fun with it, and different to the rest of the stuff that was on my album.
Right.
Once in a while, you got to sort of give it a little, you got to tweak it a bit and give it a bit of that. So that was the one we picked.
Yeah, and as far as the sound goes, you can't peg it as gospel and you can't peg it as Americana, but it falls somewhere in those genres over there.
Yes, it's roots music. It's American roots music, really.
And so you did that in the 80s as well. There's a bit of the country era. And while it wasn't your most successful, I imagine it was something really interesting to do, for your career after you've been at it a while. But did it ever seem like this is a reboot, like this is working this time? It didn't work as big that time, but now look at it.
Well, when I went into the country thing in the 80s, it worked in the country market. We had country hits with it,
sure.
But it didn't go anywhere else. Yeah. It didn't go worldwide.
Right.
So a lot of countries, in Europe especially, thought I wasn't recording anymore. Yeah. Oh. So I thought we got to change that.
Yeah.
And then I did Kiss with the Art of Noise, and then that sort of kicked it off again.
Yeah, but here it works this time. Like, people are taking it. I mean, these albums are amazing anyway. It's a good thing people are kind of coming to it.
Yeah, and they're listening.
Sure.
And they're saying, you can hear your voice, you can hear more things vocally with this because it's stripped down. As opposed to big arrangement songs.
Right. Well, I find it interesting you went with the title Spirit in the Room and everything because taking out any actually religious part of that, it actually feels like the room breathes on this kind of recording. You know, something to go in there. So it's really fitting.
Yeah.
You kind of go with that. Yeah. With it being, so you're playing other people's songs. You've written throughout your career too. Is that something you still do? Do you still sit down and write every now and then?
Yeah. If I come up with an idea or if I'm with another songwriter, and he or she says, do you have any ideas, about this, that, and the other? Or I've got this scenario, how would you say this?
Sure.
You know, if you want to do something and you want to do that, how will you do it? Then I start thinking about it. I have to have a bit of a kick,
sure.
You know, songs don't sort of just jump into my head. Sometimes I get a feeling for songs, you know, and then I start to think about it, you know, and write them down. But I'm a singer, you know, and I hear songs. When I hear songs that I really like, and I think, I don't think I could write that. You know, I wish I could. But,
right.
But it's so there's so many good songs out there.
Yeah.
You know, like the Tower of Song, you know, the Leonard Cohen song. I mean, it's a great song, and I wish I could write it. You know, I wish I had.
I think we all wish we could write that.
Exactly. So I mean, there's things like that, and then you think, well, you know, I can write, but not like that.
Right. I think when I was younger and I tried to do that for a second, that was always the thing that frustrated me. Like, I'll never write that song.
Yeah.
Why should I even try to write it? I can't write that song. And that's a bad way of looking at it, but that was, you know, for me, that was it.
Yeah.
I'll never be that, so why do it?
Well, that's true.
Yeah. But you mentioned you're a singer, and it's kind of the two sides to it. You take two albums like this, and you take them on the road, and I'm guessing you're mixing these in with, you know, all of your past hits.
Sure.
And everything. And does it work well like that?
Yeah. It all depends what kind of venues we're doing. You know, we're doing smaller venues on these few shows we're doing right now. Yeah. So I've got a rhythm section only. And we're doing both albums, and a few other things thrown in. But when I do arenas, then I mix it. You know, then I and you can do it.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel awkward or anything.
No. When you have a band, you know, because when I do arenas, you know, I've got brass and I've got singers and I've got. So when you get that same band playing all those songs, they don't sound that different from one another. You know, when you do Kiss. You know, and you do It's Not Unusual or Delilah. They're not that far removed. Yeah. You know, the brass is playing. You know what I mean? It's like
and you just got to sell it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not, and then you go into a ballad mode. You know, when you get into some ballads, so you change things anyway. Yeah. You know, throughout the show. Sure. So it all works. There's always room. You know, you've just got to make sure that you get that set right. Yeah. You know, that you go through like that. Not too many things in one lump, and then try and change drastically. Right. You've got to sort of take people through a journey, really.
Well, you've had more than enough years to try it out.
That's right.
And in fact, I was looking at, you know, like your history and everything, and then you take some of the other artists who are, what do you call them, road dogs, or what, the never-ending tours, whether it's Bob Dylan or whoever. And I get a sense that after you've toured for so long, it's just something you can't not do.
That's right. It becomes part of life. Yeah. You know, singing becomes part of life. It's a thing that you don't really. I mean, I don't want to stop doing it. Right. You know, and I don't like taking long periods of time off. You need to keep the vocal cords working. So, you know, a week is fine, but don't go, you know, taking a long period, because then you've got to wake the chords up again, you know, to get them started again.
Well, jumping back to the record, just for a couple of songs here. Some of the standouts, you actually mentioned Bad As Me, you mentioned Leonard Cohen, the Odetta, of course. Yeah. What brought Odetta into this? Because Hit or Miss, I wasn't familiar with this song beforehand, and so you brought this song into my life.
Right, thank you. Well, I'm glad I did. It's what it says, you know, that's why I was looking for songs that were saying something. Sure. You know, that and Hit or Miss, which is great. I mean, I think it's great advice especially for aspiring entertainers. You know, if you want to go into the business, you know, be yourself. You know, don't like, you know, people trying to get you to be like everyone else. Sure. Don't do it. You know, be yourself. You know, and I have to be me. I have to do it the way I feel it. And sometimes when you get into business, the powers that be try to change you. You know, they try to mold you in certain directions, which it's all right to listen and take advice, but always know who you are and what sound you like to make. Right. You know, and don't try and sound like somebody else. Yeah. So it's a message song, and I heard Odetta do it. She recorded it in the studio, but she did a live version of it, and it's really, you know, really good, and it's uplifting, and it says a lot. So that's why I did it.
Well, and I tell you, like I said, I'd never heard of it, and the first time I heard it, I didn't know the title or anything. And I guess it's because of the type of songs you had sang at the beginning. I thought you were saying Hit on This, and I was like, that sounds like Tom Jones. Hit on This. It's like, that makes sense to me. And like, oh no, he's saying Hit or Miss. That's good too.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was Charlie Darwin. Beautiful song, Charlie Darwin, you know, with a low anthem and that high register that you've taken down to yours and just totally recreated that song. I mean, just beautiful stuff all the way through this record.
Yeah, and again, it's a meaningful song about, you know, they mentioned the Mayflower, you know, because people coming from Britain to America, you know, trying to get a new life, to get a new start, you know, and not get pulled down by stuff that are negative things.
Right.
And so again, it's a message song that that says a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful song. And you know, I got a choir on there, recorded it in a church, you know, so we could get that choir a sound, you know, the choir sound. So I think it's a beautiful track, and I love performing it. And that, even though this is like basically roots music, there is still a lot. There's a variation in what kind of songs are on there.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And Spirit in the Room is a beautiful record. I'm so happy you're doing this. This era, or whatever this is, you know, another page in the Tom Jones book has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Taking the time.